Welcome back to K-Ratio's Week in Preview. I'm Kyle Littner and I'm here today to provide actionable insight for the future, not recap the past. In this week's episode, another week, another record volume for the great freight rally of 2020 that seemingly will not quit. We'll break down what that means for you this week, but first let's take a look at where the freight market currently stands. Freight volumes continue to ratchet higher while pushing aside any preconceived ideas about what U.S. consumer demand in a global pandemic looks like. With volumes now 37% higher year over year, at a time when volumes should be stable and available truck capacity abundant, routing guides across the country have reached their limits. This extreme volume and counter-seasonality has kept tender rejections elevated nationally, now exceeding 22%, above the 17% seen back in 2018 in green, and well above the sub 4% in 2019's orange. Cancellations continue to climb higher alongside volume, which only mean one thing for rates, and that's higher still. Firmly above anything seen for this time of year, the national long-haul rate of $1.89 is nearly 9 cents higher than it was in 2018 in green, and almost 50 cents higher than 2019 in orange. If you haven't noticed yet, we are firmly in a bull market, and there are troubling signs ahead for those who believe this to be short in duration. Certainly a core tenet of K-Ratio's beliefs is the idea that price is nothing more than an advertising mechanism, a tool for participants to conduct business and identify where levels of supply and demand are at. Right now, the rapid ascension in price means that the available supply of trucks is not keeping up with the current demand of loads. Too much time has passed for this to be a mere dislocation in the supply chain network. This is now a full-blown shortage of trucks. 3 weeks ago, we warned of an impending breakdown in spot versus contract rates, and that dire warning has now become a reality. National spot rates for dry van in orange have crossed over contract rates in blue by 4 cents after cratering to 40 cents below back in only April. This market dynamic is significant because it will keep rejections and rates elevated for the remainder of 2020. Often blamed for much of what's wrong in the industry, freight brokerages serve a vital role in committing volume and rates to shippers while connecting them with small carriers otherwise not accessible and large carriers looking for a backhaul. The spread between what's billed to the shipper and paid to the carrier is the reward for the 3PL to keep. The problem with this arrangement is that despite the claims of some, no freight brokerage can reasonably predict what a good rate will be for the next 12 months, nor rely on either party in the transaction as no contract in freight is binding. Let's say you're a freight broker and submitting bids for an RFP from a shipper, and taking a look at an all-in rate for LA to Salt Lake City from January 1st to December 31st, 2019, you see the peaks and valleys, but an average price for that time of $1,560. You might submit and win a bid on this lane for $1,795, write out the peaks while profiting on the valleys, all to the tune of the typical 15%. Now, if we fast forward to 2020, we can see why this method does not work. A baseline chart set at the submitted bid of $1,795 shows the early part of 2020 delivering consistent profits on this lane, depicted in green. The mid-May move above that level, seen in red, might be sustainable for a few weeks for a few $100s in losses per load, but we've now been above your price for 10 straight weeks, and it's currently a $600 loser. Your choice, Mr. 3PL, is to either eat the losses or give this business back at the risk of angering and possibly losing your shipper customer. That is the problem of today caused by your error in judgment in the past. Your future problem is that even if you eat the losses, your lane is up for rebid next year, and that non-guarantee of business removes the only reason for sustaining losses. You can cry all you want about how hard this quarter has been for securing carrier capacity, but save your crocodile tears, because I don't remember you overpaying last quarter when your contract margins were never wider. This is a flawed business model for a transitory intermediary, and one that comes with a simple, singular message. You should have hedged. What does this mean for freight this week? Carriers are firmly in charge across the entire country, so keep that in mind when selecting and bargaining on loads. Brokers, thankfully you have the spot market because the negative margin on contract freight isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Shippers, if you truly value your providers as partners, work with them on troublesome lanes while comparing their entire book of business with you. To stay current with everything freight, follow us on LinkedIn. Or for more information on how best to protect your freight portfolio and your margins from both the revenue and expense side, check us out at k-ratio.com. Please stay safe, and thank you all for watching.